What's going on? Ah! Rise and shine, you filthy fungus! It's time to get moving! You're in the guard now! What's a guard? I don't know what's going on! Move, 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 move! For the Emperor, you filthy maggots! It's time to get moving, cause today we muster for the Emperor! Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Faster. Old Big Mek here, having some fun playing an Umi. But yes, in this video, it is finally time to forward march, which was my little thing to get me to get off my butt and get my Imperial Guard army done. And just like we did for Orktober, when I laid out my entire glorious Orc Wog, and then my much larger pile of not done yet Wog, it was a great motivator for the month and to get things done and happening. Now, I am not doing anywhere near the same thing. This month is practically halfway over already, and I'm not going to be working on the army every day. But this army also doesn't need nearly as much as my orcs, and really what I want to do is kind of assess where I'm at, see what my needs are, and see what the easiest things are to get built and what the easiest things are to get painted, so that I can have kind of a second army ready to go that's painted, because I don't like playing unless I've got fully painted units. And yeah, this army, I've worked on it a couple of times as my New Year, New Army, so it's actually pretty far along, but we don't know till we pull it all out, so start up the tanks, boys. Let's rustle them up. All right, first things first, you guys know my army's been sitting over here because I show it off a lot, and let's start grabbing. It basically lives on this little shelf, which I actually need to move because this whole workbench here needs to come over to the right, and this bench needs to go over to the left. So all these guys need to come off of here, so let's go ahead and bring them all off. Which means you need somewhere to set them up, and just like the orc video, I got one of my battle mats out, in this case, my Arctic Tundra, because my army is Valhallans, and yeah, we'll start setting them up and see what we got. As is only proper with Imperial Guard, you start with High Command. In this case, my commander, who is now apparently a Cadian Castellan in the index, which I don't like, because I don't run Cadians. He's not a Cadian. He is a regular old Imperial Guard commander, but he leads my basically PDF force. So we'll scooch him over there. Of course, you got to keep the battlefield, nice and motivated. And for that, we have a Lord Commissar here with Plasma Pistol and Power Sword. And both of them have been fully painted for quite a while. My particular force is heavily augmented by good old inquisitorial agents, including Kyria Draxus. I have no idea how to say her name, but I really like this model and the paint job I did on it. It's one of my favorites, so definitely like using her. And what I have is what was going to be my Lord Solar until he became on horseback. He will be my Supreme Commander, whatever that is, but eventually I'll keep working on him. All right, and what I've got from there is the rest of the attaches for the High Command here. That would be the Lord of the Fleet, which is the old pilot from the Battle for Macragge set. The Psyker, who is some random one from I couldn't even tell you where, and the officer that calls down the artillery strikes, basically. Those are all kit bashes, because I don't like the fine cast ones. And then we have kind of our overall command squad here, the High Command squad, with my converted sergeant, lieutenant. I'm not sure what they are anymore, but she is of higher rank than most. And yeah, we've got the squad there with, of course, a regimental standard and a Vox operator, a medic, and a melta gunner. And then I have the first of my company command squads back here. So that would be the company commander and his command squad. And then I can put out my infantry squads for that company. All right, and there is kind of the whole company. You could see I am one squad short of a full one. I do have all the bodies for it, but they are not built. You can see I've got one squad completely fully painted, and then I've got 4 that are built and primered. The astute among you will notice that some of them have primered bases and some of them don't. Basically what happened is I started this army so long ago that the heavy weapons teams were on a different size base. And when they changed the base size for the heavy weapons teams, I decided to make sure my base size fit as well. And so I had to debase some of them and put them on another base. The squads I've built since then have obviously been put on the correct base to begin with. So yeah, that is kind of the whole infantry force. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going, Big Mek, you keep talking about your Valhallans all the time. Those guys are the old Cadian sculpts. Those aren't Valhallans. You are correct. As anybody has been paying attention at all in the last 20 years knows, Games Workshop used to make a bunch of different regiments for Imperial Guard. There was the Valhallan Ice Warriors, the Talaran Desert Raiders, the Mordian Iron Guard, the Vostroyan Firstborns, obviously the Cadians, the Catachan Jungle Fighters, and a bunch of other smaller ones, Praetorians and things like that. And they were all awesome and amazing. And some of them had larger ranges than others, but they all had ranges. And over the years, they stopped making them. And it got less and less and less until all you had left was Cadians and Catachans. When Imperial Guard relaunched in 9th edition, we were all really hopeful that with Cadia being broken and not a planet anymore, and nobody really liking those sculpts anyway, and everybody loving the Death Corps of Krieg sculpts that were in Kill Team, that maybe, just maybe, we would get a new standard regiment to go and be, you know, the embodiment of the Astra Militarum. And that didn't happen. What we got were underfed Cadians with knee pads, and I really, really do not like the look of the new ones. If you like them, great. Like, you know, no skin off my back. I don't have to play your army. You don't have to play my army. But I just personally, they don't do it for me. I love all the older regiments. So the long and the short of it is, I do have some Valhallans, which we'll get to in a minute. Some of which are left over from many decades ago, and some of which I have picked up used over the years to try and fill it out. That being said, making an entire infantry company of Valhallans, that is way too many teeth. I do not have that many teeth. So what I've done is I've decided that all of my armor is going to be Valhallan. It's a Valhallan armored company. And the planet that they're fighting on, or the sector that they're fighting in, obviously has a bunch of regiments in it, because that's the way the real Imperial Guard works, and I love that. So, like, I have the Tanith First and Only, I have these, you know, old school Cadian sculpt guys, that I have a random backstory for that I've since forgotten. I've got some Death Corps of Krieg, I've got some old school Armageddon Steel Legion, and then I have my Valhallan. So I have 5 different regiments right now. I plan on adding the Attilan Rough Riders, so that'll give me 6. And we'll see what else new comes out. There's obviously a lot of rumors of more Guard stuff and more Death Corps of Krieg and things like that. I would definitely add those guys in, and we'll see how the whole army goes from there. But the core of the army is an armored regiment that is Valhallans. That being said, tabletop-wise, 60-point guard squads with full heavy weapons teams are really good. And so you need a bunch of them, hence the really cheap old Cadians, picking them up for pennies on the teeth, and adding them into the force. In fact, we ain't even done yet. Because, of course, part of that is the actual heavy weapons teams. Mortars specifically being the extremely good ones. Basically, indirect fire is really strong, always, but especially in 10th. And so as part of my infantry company here, I do have the heavy weapons teams. Now, you see the random pile here. That is all of my bodies that I need to make my missing squad and my missing squad of mortars. So I have more than enough there to make that happen. So I will end up with one more squad here with las cannon and plasma gun, and I will end up with one more squad of mortars. And then, of course, like I said, my supreme allied commander there, and that makes up my infantry. Now, I do have quite a bit of more inquisitorial henchmen infantry, like these Elucidian Star Striders. Basically, it's the entourage for the Inquisitor and a rogue trader and things like that. And then I also have like the Navy Breacher Squad from the Big Kill Team set. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all those yet. As much as I like the Kyria Draxus model and all that, as far as playing Imperial Guard, playing with a bunch of add-ons is kind of hokey. And yeah, I don't know. I also really like all of the spaceship interior kill team stuff, the whole being on a Space Hulk, and so I kind of, and you know, plus the Navy Reachers, I kind of really want to paint all the rest of my Inquisitors and all the rest of those henchmen up on interior spaceship bases, and so they wouldn't actually be part of this guard army that is basically in a sector that's full of snow, because that's what I'm putting on all their bases. So I haven't quite decided on that yet, and since all of this stuff is frankly new in the box, I am going to leave it where it lies, and we're going to concentrate solely on the core of the Imperial Guard army. All right, Allied, I had one more thing for my Cadian sculpt ones. I do have this Chimera that I had finished. Originally, it's supposed to be for my Valhallans, but you can see the paint colors are identical to that, and that is not the paint colors I am doing on my Valhallans, and well, that thing is just way too nice to redo. Plus, it's fully magnetized and fully articulating. And yeah, it's just, it is what it is. So this is for the command squad for the Supreme High Command. They are, of course, the only ones who get it. Now, I did realize this is actually just for the squad and a bunch of extras. I have a whole nother heavy weapon squad. So yeah, I got a couple extras. I think my idea was if I needed to, I can make a third command squad just in case they ever come back with the platoon. Basically, all the way back in 4th edition here, you were able to take platoons as troop squads. And so while you had a regular standalone infantry squad as an option, and of course it could be equipped with a Chimera, you had this infantry platoon, which was a command squad and a minimum of 2 infantry squads. So if you had 3 command squads and 6 infantry squads, you could make 3 minimum infantry platoons. You could also add heavy weapon squads, special weapon squads, conscripts, those kind of things. All of these kind of went away in later editions, but this core mechanic kind of stuck around. I'm honestly really hoping for a return to something like that, because it's so cool and it's so Imperial Guard to just have a bunch of bodies out front for the meat grinder. And so it's like, it just needs to be a part of it. So I'm building my army for it, regardless of whether or not it's legal in the rules. Because frankly, there's a lot of ways that I could play Imperial Guard and still have a valid army. Oh yeah. This right here, this is still just the thing for me. I mean, come on, look at that army. So yeah, that's the idea. I have an entire infantry company in my Cadian sculpt guys, and then I'm going to have an entire armored company in my Valhallans, plus a bunch of extra adder honors. Let's check those out. So first up are my Armageddon Steel Legion. These are indeed the old metal ones. They never came in anything else. And yeah, I've had that squad for a long time, obviously. It's the only squad basically built and painted, and it's been around for a hot minute. Eventually, I think I'd like to get a Chimera for them, maybe, and they'll end up being one of my mounted squads. I also have my Death Corps of Krieg. I have 1 regular squad and 1 squad I've been converting into a command squad, although that has now been put on hold now that there are probably new actual command squads coming for Death Corps of Krieg, so we'll see what happens with that, but eventually I'd like to have some more of these guys. I also have my custom objective markers that I've done. They are all built and painted and based for the army. I kind of do these before I do an army. I have these for my orcs and for my Imperial Guard and actually for my Eldar all completely done, because it helps me figure out my basing style. You can see my original snow base, not a fan of that one, but once I spread it out a little, let some more mud come through, make it look more like this mat, I was much happier with the results. Now, all right, let's get into the, one last thing. I showed this off the last video. I do need a squad of Casterkin. I do not have that, so this is all I've got for now. We'll see where that goes. All right, here it comes. You ready? Bum, bum, bum. The Valhallans. Finally, there they are. There is a squad of Valhallans, and there's a squad of Valhallans, and there is 1, 2, 3 sets of bodies and 1 old mortar, although I do have the newer plastic mortars. So I can make a whole heavy weapons team there as well. And then look at that glorious command squad. I also have the... Woo! Where'd it go? I also have this guard... I think he was sold as like a lieutenant or something, but I mean, come on, he's a commissar. So he's going to be the commissar for the Valhallan army. I also have this one here. Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe I'm going to make that one the commissar. Maybe they're both commissars. I think they might both be commissars. The Valhallans need a lot of commissars. I, of course, have Commander Chekhov, who is the Supreme Commander of the Valhallans. And yes, I have his little bear cape. So he will be utilized as well. And yeah, that's the entirety of the actual Valhallans. I mean, I have like some really cool stuff like the Riders and of course the old school half metal Hellhound. But yeah, that is the entirety of what is actually Valhallan, which is why I said they are going to be the armored company. You can see I've got a Chimera here ready to go. I've got the Hellhound. I do have one Leman Russ with all of his options. And in this box, everything you see, well, not the infantry, they're all out there, but these tanks are all in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3 more Leman Russes and 1 more Chimera. The idea being I'm going to build 2 of those the same as this, where they're all interchangeable with all the regular options. And then I'm going to build 1 with the probably the Demolisher turret to be my tank commander. He will be the warlord of the armored company. So I'll have the 3 Leman Russes, the 1 Leman Russ commander, the Hellhound, and 2 Chimeras for this army with 2 squads to ride in them. Or maybe I'll do a command squad and Castrican squad. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I also have a flyer on deck, so we'll have a Valkyrie for the army as well. Oh, and then the chicken walkers. So I like the old Sentinels way better than the new ones. The new ones look like a porta potty. These look like an ATSD, which I'm totally okay with. You can see, once again, I have magnetized his options, which is super cool. I have 2 more of these ready to go and all the magnets to do them, so I will make the 3 total of those. And yeah, that's it. That is the whole Imperial Guard army. Of course, it wouldn't be complete without Yarick. So yeah, that is the whole army, pretty much. Kind of mustered everything that's not literally still on a sprue or buried in a bin somewhere as pieces, which I am going to dig all of them out, but after I move the desk around and all that stuff. Points-wise, I have no idea what I've got because I started building it 3 editions ago, and the basis of it is a bunch of stuff I've owned since 3rd edition. Yeah, so it's not a great legal army, but it's very thematic and cool looking. At least I think so. So yeah, I'm going to keep working on it. So what do I have built and painted? Well, like you saw, I got the 1 Steel Legion squad, the 1 squad of Cadians, the command squad of Cadians, the commander guy, Castellan, whatever the heck you want to call him, 1 commissar, and 1 chimera. That's it. That's everything that's actually painted, which is not very much. I think it's even less than 500 points. Clearly I need to build the 1 squad left and the 1 heavy weapons team left. All of my Valhallans that aren't standing up or on a base need to be glued back together and put on a base. Obviously the heavy weapons teams need to go on the big one, but you can see there were quite a few guys standing around that weren't on the old slotted bases, or they were missing their slots or whatever. I do need to glue all those together. As far as painting and stuff, what can I really get done in March? What is going to feel the best? As much as I love my Valhallans and really want to like do them, I clearly haven't done any of them yet. I don't have a paint scheme laid out. You can see that 1 Leman Russ, I had started to base coat the same color as that other regiment that I totally don't want to do, so I will redo that one. Luckily, I hadn't gotten too far on that. It's literally just a base coat layer. So I will redo that. And being that none of the armor is built, really, and like so much of the Valhallans need so much work, I think I'm going to table them for now. I'm going to put them all back in the box, unfortunately, and squirrel them back away over there until the next time around and concentrate on that infantry company. The reason why I'm saying that is they are so close. I know it kind of doesn't look like it because they're all just kind of built and primered, but that is basically the paint scheme. I slap a wash on them and I paint the weapons and I do the basing, and that is about it. I mean, they're guard, they're cannon fodder, so I don't put a whole lot into each individual guy, but it does end up looking just fine on the tabletop. And again, they are the older sculpts. There's not a whole lot to paint on them, to be honest. So yeah, you know, I don't need to edge highlight them and all this stuff. I just kind of put them all together and get the army looking good. And so I think I can actually get that whole company, platoon, whatever you want to call it, together. Like I said, build those last couple of squads, undercoat them because we're going to have some really nice weather this weekend, and then speed paint through everything that's there so that I'm completely done with my Cadian sculpt guys, and I have a complete foot company ready to go. The Kriegers I'm also going to put away, obviously, because we're probably getting new stuff and we don't know what that's going to look like. I think that's the other reason why I'm hesitant on the Valhallans, is if they do come out with Greatcoat Guard that actually can be used as different regiments, I am so going to buy a whole bunch of Valhallans and go from there, right? So I don't want to like lock myself into a paint scheme or do anything weird or regretful like I started doing with my Krieg, where I started building a command squad that's now probably going to be invalidated by a real one. We'll see. But yeah, so I'm going to cut straight on my old school Cadian sculpts. I'm going to get the rest of those built and try to speed paint through the army. And so we'll have a couple more videos on those coming up. And yeah, as far as in here goes, part of the problem I've had with all of this is the desk is not actually set where it should be. You see my lighting solution here bolts onto the desk and it gets in between the desk and the wall, and so crap falls back there and it's not sturdy. And so what I need to do is actually move it over, put that over there, and then I actually have a some shelves to put up here with some lights underneath them to shine down, and I can move that lamp onto a base or something so that this can actually go up against the wall and I won't have any more problems like that. It also gets me out of this corner right here. I kind of get a bunch of light right there that's really harsh and really hard to paint, and if I move it over to here I can paint well. So this is a multitude of things. This is all going to be done as well. If you guys want to see a video on hobby space stuff, let me know. I'm happy to film it. Otherwise, I'm just going to get it done and you'll see it looking pretty in a video eventually. And as for my glorious, glorious Imperial Guard themselves, like I said, I feel like I've got a plan. As much as I love these, being that we don't know what's coming greatcoat-wise, and being that so much of it is literally new in the box or, well, in need of a lot of help, those are all going to go back in a box, get squirreled away. Same thing with these guys. And what I'm going to do is concentrate on getting this finished because, like I said, there's not a whole lot to this paint job. I literally slap a wash on them. I do their skin and their weapons and their little pouches and things, and really it's not long at all. And I don't even have like a skin recipe. One of the things I love doing is all sorts of different base coats and washes to get all sorts of great skin variations. And it really helps sell that each one of them is an individual trooper instead of a bunch of the same sculpts over and over. Although obviously I have done a lot of converting on them. But yeah, I am right happy with mixing together all my browns and tans and slightly reds and yellows and making some really cool skin tones for everybody. I did do a little bit more on the command squad, obviously, because they're the command squad. But yeah, that is the paint scheme. I mean, really, I think the basing probably takes as much time as the actual squads. It's contrast paint over the primer and a couple of different colors, and yeah, that's it. They're done.
You call yourselves a regiment. You look like a bunch of filthy fungi out there. Who the heck's in charge of this regiment anyway? An orc?
I mean, yeah, an orc was in charge, hence all the crazy. All right, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys liked Forward March and the additional content on the channel. Obviously, I'm a big orc head. That's my main jam. But I like just about everything 40K, and I have a bunch of armies. We've talked about them a bunch. We've shown off a bunch of different things. But this is the first time kind of really diving into an entire army, showing it off, talking about it, and dedicating more than a video to it. So I hope you like it out there. Share it with your Guard friends. And yeah, let me know what your Guard army's down below. I know on our Discord, we've talked a lot about Grot Guard and those kind of really awesome conversions. If you're not a part of the Discord community, it's completely free to join. There's a link down in the description below. We have an amazing time there. We've recently done these really awesome gift battles back and forth, calling people out, making a theme, and doing 3 back and forths, and they've been a ton of fun. We've got a really hilarious dad joke channel in the Kid Hammer area. Yeah, lots of painting, lots of converting, lots of converting. We are the best. That's why it's called the Mek Shop. At converting and helping people stretch their teeth and do their 40K for, a nice reasonable amount of money and have their stuff looking really awesome. So yeah, give that a thought. If you'd like to join, like I said, click the links down in the description below, completely free. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Special thanks to my patrons who have been so amazing and awesome using the Old Big Mek bit service to get their bits. That's been a whole lot of fun, and we're cooking up the next big thing for the patrons. So, you know, if you are interested in all of the extras that Old Big Mek does, there's a link down the description below for that as well. Come and join us over on Patreon. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope to see you in the next one. And there's only one thing left to do. For Gork and Mork!